One of the
But
wipers fell off, so it's all
since we're
squeaky in the
talking
room.
about weather, let's talk about cloud seeding. I was
Oh
watching.
yeah.
I
Yeah,
was
cloud
watching.
seeding.
This is basically a new thing for me. I mean, I'm sure I didn't. I didn't
I
try
don't
to.
think it's real.
I
I don't
didn't
think it's
try to.
real,
You
first of
don't think
all.
it's real?
No.
Hmm. Well, it
We're
seems
not.
to be real. It seems to be real. Anyway, because I mean, Google told me all about it. Like, so it must be real. But apparently, it's and I saw this Kagan Dunlap is a guy that I follow on TikTok. I sent you guys, or sorry, Instagram. I sent you guys the
Not for long.
reel, and he does a bunch of things. And anyway, he posted about a video that was captured in China of somebody shooting rockets in the air, and it was cloud seeding, and they're essentially shooting rockets into a cloud to crystallize it. I can't remember the chemical that they had in it, but it's a
I think it's
chemical that would,
silver
yep,
something.
yep, almost like silver nitrate or something
Oh,
like that, but
yep.
or silver nitrous oxide or something like that. But it would shoot it into the cloud. The gas would crystallize the precipitation or the H2O molecules, and then those molecules would fall to the sky and essentially create rain. Because as the ice fell to the sky, it would heat up and then be water. I guess that's the science behind it, but pretty remarkable to think that this exists. And like,
Pretty
my
awesome
question
if it
is,
did.
of course, it's localized, right? Like there has to be a cloud in the sky. That rocket can only dissipate so much of a chemical. So it would be technically on a small scale, and the weather conditions would have to be right. But like, why aren't we as the government, the American government, using this to affect areas that have drought for 10 years, like California, that has just gone through a massive wildfire? And then also on top of that, the funding that we use in these areas to create reservoirs, to create water towers, to preserve the precipitation that does fall. Why aren't these things in cahoots, and we use them in conjunction with each other and create rainfall when we can,
Yeah.
and capture that rainfall when we can?
So I think for me, I think it speaks back to Tim's earlier conversation about the morality of it in messing with systems we don't know enough about. Can we impact the weather? Yes. Do we know the long-term implications of doing so? I don't think we do. From what I've seen and what I've read about it, is it's cost prohibitive. It's cost prohibitive. I didn't say that right, but you know what I mean. To do at a large scale, to be able to impact it at the degree which you're talking about. The technology doesn't exist to be able to do that to the degree we need, or the ability isn't there yet. But at the same time, I really don't think we want to be fucking with that, man. I think that there's implications to doing so that we have no clue about. And if we start tinkering with things that we don't know enough about, I think we ought to be very, very cautious about doing that.
Yeah, I agree. And I think the other thing is, and I'm sure people have commented on this, I just didn't know what the answer is. If there's a cloud above Fort Collins and we shoot it with a silver bullet, and it drops rain on us, then there is not that rain anymore that to drop where it was going to.
Yeah.
So it's not creating water out of nothing. It's like borrowing from Peter to pay Paul. And so like to your point, Wally, what are the long-term consequences? Where was this cloud naturally going to drop its water? I mean, droughts have come and gone throughout the history of humanity. And in the past, there's different ways that people dealt with it, often more poorly because they didn't have some technologies. But we have significantly more as far as like creating reservoirs, planning for droughts, and things like that. And California was in a drought; they had record rainfall, and let most of it go into the Pacific to save the Delta smelt or whatever, which is unfortunate.
Yeah, we talked about that last week,
Yeah.
as far as the
Okay.
things that have happened. But I mean, it's just remarkable. All we need is we need somebody that can walk the earth and change water to wine and then wine to water. Like that would just solve all our problems.
That's so easy. That's so easy, Nate. We can all do that. No problem.
But in all seriousness, though, like I understand, like yes, I would the future effects. Like I'm taking the water out of the cloud now that would have fallen later somewhere else, but there is also the science behind this I should also be able to generate a cloud and then also take the water out of that cloud. So essentially doing both things, creating one and then taking the water out of it. And then, I mean, that again, I feel like that technology should exist and we should use it. But at the same time, the simpler method would be, as a friend of the show, Jose, said last week when we were talking about the drought, like, why aren't we pumping water out of the Pacific and using that to fight fires, especially in a drought, right? Like, why doesn't that exist? Or a desalination plant to, again, just use the water that's in there to hold it in water towers, hold it in the reservoir, so that when there is a drought, a farmer can now have water, or why is it?
Bill
Go ahead,
Burr,
Wally.
Bill Burr has a great bit that he was talking about this week.
Let's go.
I wish I had it right here to play because it was hilarious. And he was talking about, look, everybody in the fucking world's become a fire expert now, sitting on our fucking couches in our underwear talking about what we should have done, what we do, and we have no effing clue what's actually happened, what the technology is, what they have the ability to do, and what they don't have the ability. It's all speculation. I think that there needs to be a comprehensive analysis of what was done, what wasn't done, to independently fact check on exactly what's happening. Short of that, we don't know. We don't know. Because I saw something about the amount of money California spent on fire prevention over the last 5 years, and the amount of money they've poured into it. That would lead me to believe that, like, if you can't get your goals met, but not that California is known for their fiscal responsibility, but if you can't get your goals met spending that kind of money, then what are we doing? My only point is that we don't know. We don't know. It's all speculation right now.
Yeah. So I'm guessing you guys are saying that you don't want to. You don't like clouding. Cloud seeding.
So I worry that that's a technology that can also be weaponized with pretty easily, and then we can use it in ways that are probably nefarious in nature. I don't care for it. I don't care for I don't think at this point the technology pros outweigh the cons.
Chemical warfare has existed since World War One, technically. On a large
doesn't mean it's right.
1940s. I can't believe it.
Well, of course it's not right, but like, again, when we as in America, the only ones that have the morals to not use something, but the rest of the world does, like, or our enemies do, then I mean, I don't know. It's just one of those things. We can talk about how things that we've invented have been turned into weapons. Again, I go back to a gun. Like, guns were originally created to hunt, right? To protect ourselves, not to murder people, not to go to war with and kill people, but it was a platform that met a need, and we needed to kill people, and so we use weapons now. But like, instead of hand to hand, it made sense. Well, if I can touch somebody further away, then I'll use this weapon that we created for hunting instead of killing.
But now there's a fundamental difference between me pressing a button and sending a missile or sending a bomb that blows people up, compared to me manipulating our environment to do the work for me, right? Like, that's my concern, is that we're not talking about throwing a hand grenade. We're talking about making Mother Nature rain hellfire on them. We don't know enough about what we're dealing with to say we can do that without long-term significant implications. And I would also argue that the majority of the weather emergencies we're dealing with right now are because of our inability to see the long-term implications of our actions. I think our impact on the environment is playing out in everything we see going wrong with our current environment now. And I think there's probably people that disagree with that statement, but I think
I'm one of them.
I figured as much. That's good. I think that man's impact on our world is manifesting itself currently, and we're seeing it in these California fires. We're seeing it in our rapidly rising temperature. We're seeing it in a multitude of ways that we should be gravely concerned about. But
Yeah.
a lot of people don't agree with me. A lot of people don't agree with me. About 50% of the world, of the country, I'd say.
Well, I agree with you, Wally, but you're wrong.
I would say I would agree with you, but then I'd be wrong.
I'm okay with agreeing with him and being
think,
wrong.
I think the point of agreement is that I believe we were given the earth to steward. That means you use it for what is useful without abusing and raping it. So, I think fisheries or wildlife management is a good example. We're hunting the deer, and because we're hunting the deer in a regimented, sort of measured way, the deer actually flourish, and there's less disease and things are more balanced. And I think that's a good example of stewarding resources in a way where we benefit, we're enjoying nature, we are sort of taking dominion over in a way that is positive and helpful to creation. But at the same time, extreme exists on both sides. You can be like, no, the deers have feelings and we're never going to hunt them, and then they succumb to disease and things like that. Or you're like, yeah, we're going to hunt them all to extinction. So I think there certainly is some common ground there, but like as far as stewarding well the resources we've been given.
Sure. But I don't think we're a species known for moderation. Like, I understand what you're saying, and I agree with that. And I'm a firm proponent of hunting in our role in the environment in that regards. But it's hard to balance that with go to Detroit, go to Mexico City, go to these other places, and then talk to me about the balance of our impact versus you know what I mean? Like, it's just
I mean, but I think this might be a good conversation. I probably have to go because I'm picking up my daughter, but this might be a good conversation to have. Looking at history in certain chunks. We tend to look at history, I think, in shorter chunks. But if you take history in 100-year chunks, 300-year chunks, 500-year chunks, we learn. Just like if you were to take a body and take an infant's body, it's like, wow, this thing is sleeping all over the place. It's way out of whack, way out of balance. Well, if you take the timeline of the child's life, it's an appropriate response, and it will even itself out. It will learn, so to speak, from what it's doing, and it will improve in the coming years. So I'm not equating what's happening in Detroit is good. I'm just saying humans, what kind of allowance do we have for humans to grow over time?
I think that's a very good point. When you're talking about 100-year chunks for 150, 200-year chunks, I don't think there's anything in world history that compares with the last 100 to 150 years in terms of our impact on our environment or humans' impact in the world around us. There's no parallels. There's nothing even remotely close to what's happening in terms of the way we're changing the world. I mean, at nowhere. I don't think. I mean, am I wrong about this?
No, I would agree with that. I mean, as far as the Industrial Revolution, certainly there's, yeah.
Where are you picking your daughter up from?
I don't know where I'm going.
It looks like you're like a fucking.
Are you taking donuts?
All right, guys. I think I gotta go.
Yeah, we can let you go, man. Drive carefully.
All right, man. All right, see ya.
Good talking to you.
Man. Love you.
All right, bye.
Later.
Love you.
All right, with that, do we want to break? Do we want to take a 5-minute break? Or
yeah, I do. I get to take a piss.
Oh, I don't even mind. But Let's go.
All right, so we'll segue into our next topic, which will be, well, we want to discuss, or I want to discuss the hiring of our new football coach, and I want to hear from the ambassador of Section 323 and the on-field correspondence of Section 323 and Chet Bond, and what you have to say about the hiring of Mike Vrabel.
Great choice. Number one, I want Josh McDaniels, number two. And when I hear people say, let's not retread, okay. Did your team win 6 Super Bowls in 20 years? Just a question. So I want to retread. I want to make everything happen the same way I did before. I want Mike Vrabel, Josh McDaniels, and I would love, oh my God, I would love Robert Saleh as our DC. And that's it.
Yes. Yes, I like where your head's at. That's definitely my pick for DC. I probably think he should be considered for some head coaching jobs, and we might secure that if he doesn't get a head coaching job. I think he'd be well served to get a couple more years with a really good in a really good system and prove his worth as a DC. And then if he doesn't get hired this year as a head coach, which who knows if that's going to happen, we don't know. But I would like the Patriots to be somewhat patient in hiring their offensive coordinator and defensive coordinator. I would be really happy if they brought in another GM, somebody with proven track record, someone that has some acumen, some experience in the front office, and then also let them again build their front office how they see fit, as well as the OC and the DC. But I know that Vrabel is going to have a lot of say in that, and I hope now that he's hired, there's going to be, we won't talk about a collective effort. It's going to be not necessarily the head football coach's decision, but it's a front office decision that majority of the things that are going to be decided will be done by the head coach in the front office, and they'll come to agreements in that aspect. But it shouldn't be a collective. We shouldn't be talking about a collective when it comes to the football team. But what I'd also like to see, to be honest with you, and I don't disagree with you with you don't like the term retread, but I want some fresh blood. Like I know Mike Vrabel talked about it in his press conference. He wants to use those 6 banners as that's history, which is exactly what he said. That's history. But we can use that to motivate the people in the building. We can use that to motivate people that want to come in here. It can be for sure. And he's going to be a good source of that motivation because he experienced some of it. But I mean, what would be wrong with, let's talk about getting the offensive coordinator from Kansas City, who's been to 4 Super Bowls in how many years? That's just as successful. But again, I don't disagree with
the Patriots.
We don't want to retread. I know, but it's still success no matter how you write it. I'd rather see successful people in the building, regardless of how we look at that success and over time. But I mean, if we want to look at it that way, Mike Vrabel was only part of 3 of those.
Oh, here's the man.
So he only won 3.
only 3 Super Bowls.
But he was a big part of that, and a lot of people.
I mean, I think my take on Vrabel was made pretty clear last week. He was the guy I wanted. I think that if you didn't come out of his initial press conference feeling confident in what his vision is, then you should watch the interviews he's been doing in New England media. I don't know if you get much of that down there in Texas, Nate.
But Nate, did you see that stuff?
He's been on a number of talk shows.
I've sent you guys some.
Every single thing he says is right spot on.
Fucking perfect.
It's the right mix of Belichick and kind of that modern being able to relate with the players while still being a badass. Um, I haven't delved much into the defensive coordinator stuff. I'll leave that to you guys. Robert Saleh sounds like a great option. I'm not against that at all. I haven't really done much in the way of research. I'm more because I also view Vrabel as a defensive minded coach.
Yeah.
Maybe that's unfair just because of the position he
Unfair.
played. But
It makes
I
sense.
kind of well, and that's how I identify those Tennessee teams were like a grind out defensive minded teams. So I assume he'll assume the same kind of vision for the Patriots.
Mm-hmm.
The OC is such an important position. I texted you guys earlier that Cali guy from the Rams. I'm really excited. I'd like to see a guy like that. We went after him last year. He said no. I wonder if he said no in part because of Mayo and being under a inexperienced head coach. But being able to take over an offensive coordinator, that's the kind of style offense I'd love to see with Drake May under center. I want to see us spread the ball. I want to see us be able to move. He's way more. I think that I'd love to see something along those styles. So he's my current front runner. But again, I'm confident in our direction. I'm confident in our ability. I don't hate giving Elliott Wolf another year. I'm not crazy with what he did with the draft last year because outside of Drake May, they bombed, right? I mean, can you guys name one other position you're excited about from last year's draft?
No,
I can't.
It's part of our agenda. Which free agent do you want to sign?
Me personally, which free agent? We jump
which
right
free agent
into
do you
that.
want to sign?
I took notes. Let me pull them up.
I love it.
Well, while you're pulling those up, some things that I pulled from the press conference was basically, again, he talked about the banners and also stated that those won't help us win. And it doesn't help us, but it gives us a blueprint. So he knows he has been part of those. He knows what it took to get to the end result and have that banner hung. He also knows what it meant to try and achieve that the following season after that banner's been up there. So,
all right.
Well, while I don't disagree with him, I just wonder why that wasn't as effective in Tennessee. Like he didn't perform all that well as a coach, so I'm a little skeptical. I like what he said, yeah, but I mean, going back to Gerard Mayo's press conference, his initial, I thought it was a breath of fresh air because it was a different perspective than Bill Belichick. I thought that he would, do good things, and again, there are multiple reasons why that didn't come to fruition, but. I mean, am I happy with the Vrabel hire? Sure, because he is saying the right things now. But that talk, I don't live in the instant coffee era. I'm not going to anoint him the second coming of Bill Belichick and like we're going undefeated next year. It's a new head coach. He has a different perspective. I like the fact that he wants himself, coaches in general, great teachers, and be connecting with players and develop players. And though he talked about being able to communicate effectively with everybody in the building, not just his coaches, not just one player on the special teams, like every player being able to connect with them. That connection will also drive the development, will also drive the coaching philosophy as far as how I coach you, how I talk to you, how I develop you. That those interpersonal skills will make it feel like the coaches are invested in the players. I think that was already in the building. I do think that the generation of players now are very, I don't know, they're very involved. They're very involved, meaning they're distracted very easily. So, the coach will praise me in one meeting and then the next meeting that they don't praise me, I feel slighted / offended. So we'll see. I hope it all ends up well. I think we're trending on the upside. Of course, he's saying all the right things now, but he himself is even, in these interviews, I'm going to say the right thing now, and I'm going to move towards the end objective. What happens between now and then you know, that's the process. That's what we all need to be involved in and be invested in. So for us to say that the sky is blue and the all the flowers are blossoming and it's a great time, like that's
Yeah. I feel like we've been at kind of different ends of the spectrum as it pertains to the Patriots for the majority of the year. You were pretty steady and consistently in Mayo's kind of side. Is that fair to say for the majority of the year? And even, I don't even know if it's a stretch here, but do you feel like he should have been brought back for next year? I think we have that on record, right?
Yeah, it's on record, meaning the guy had enough to defend his position as far as the product on the field.
I'm just asking. Yeah. We have said that, right? I mean, we have you on record as saying that Mayo wasn't given a fair shake and deserved a second year.
Yes,
is that fair?
But also in my defense, I literally put myself in his shoes. If I'm hired in that position and I'm not able to do what I want to put the best product on the field, and management and we're saving money on salary so that we don't have the right pieces on the field. Like, and again, I don't know this information, but the performance review, right? Like at the beginning of the season, he sat down with Robert Kraft and they talked about, this is what I want from the team, and these are the things that I expect from the head coach. If all those blocks are checked and he can somehow say that he performed or outperformed the KPIs, right? As we talk about in business, if he hit all those, then he has a leg to stand on as far as him being able to coach another year. And again, he's one of 32 individuals that hold this job. Are there other people that are more?
I wasn't trying to rehash this conversation at all. I was simply trying to say, was that your statement? That is your statement. And from there, I was going to say you also were not, I would say, in favor of hiring Vrabel. Is that fair to say as well? He was not your first choice.
Yeah, that's fair.
I wanted an offensive minded coach.
Yeah. I think we had a conversation, and I'm not saying that's the right or wrong choice. My question is this: by what's the benchmark to gauge success for Vrabel? Like, what does success mean to you for Vrabel? End of year one, how do you can say he had a better year than Mayo? How can you say they're going in the right direction? What's that? Is it a number of wins? Is it a gut feeling?
Yeah, it's got to be. It's got to be number of wins.
So what? Like
he either does as good or does better. In order for him to, he's got to win more games than Gerard Mayo. Like that would ultimately when we think about when we ask ourselves, is it a better hire? Like that's the end all be all, isn't it? Like at the end of the season next year, this time he accumulated more wins. Like that
And now I'm going to relay that to say that Vrabel is a far better situational football coach than Mayo ever hoped to. I think we saw that was typified and exemplified by that clip we've all seen 1,000 times of him pissing off Belichick by getting the false start, then the offside. You know what he did over and over and over again to run timeout. You guys saw that against the Patriots and Brady's last season with us. Like that's the situations where we're going to continue. We're going to get 3 to 4 more wins out of Vrabel because he is a very good situational football coach. He's intelligent. He knows the game inside and out. In those one-score games versus what do we lose? 8 or 9 one-score games this year. What if we win 3 more of those? It was. I don't think I'm far off. It might not be 8. It might have been 9. It might have been 7 or 8. But if we win 3 more of those, we're now a 7-win team. And I agree with you. I think 7 wins next, 7, 8 wins is a success for Vrabel next year. And I almost think that's guaranteed. If I'm being honest with you,
I would.
I love it.
Wow.
Look at our schedule. We're playing Jackson. We got a shit schedule.
Yeah, I just say that in the context of Like they haven't signed any free agents and they haven't drafted. So if they don't sign any if they have the same team, we actually can't compare apples to apples because he's not going to have the same team, right? And he shouldn't have the same team because for whatever reason
we stunk. Because we stunk.
Yeah, for whatever reason, he should be standing on everybody's desk that he needs to and be like, we're spending every dime that we have on this cap space and we're not going to save a dime. We're going to put it all on the field. And like that was my argument with Mayo. Like again, management set everything up, not for him to fail, but they wanted us to have a better draft position. So I would love for them to come out and say the final straw was that we won the last game of the season and we missed the first pick in the draft. Like that would appease me as far as, okay, I understand that's not something that you wanted. You probably didn't communicate with the coach. You're going out here this Sunday and you're losing because we have the last pick, the first pick in the draft secured. That probably wasn't communicated. Otherwise, he probably would have played Jacoby Brissett and
right.
But who knows? But I just feel like, again, the management, Bob Kraft, everybody just said it's a terrible. I think it's a shitty situation for anybody to be in.
It's dangerous.
He couldn't have followed in Bill's footsteps. Anything that he did was analyzed in the way that you analyze Bill Belichick and the comparison. Like everybody did that all season long. So I feel for the guy. Because I do too. Do I think that he could be a Hall of Fame coach? No, probably not. But he deserves a year to develop. And then
he stunk. No, he doesn't. No, he doesn't. He wasn't ready for the position. I saw nothing that would suggest he was ready to be making the decisions he had to. Yes, he was not ready. He was not ready.
He's not ready.
He was a terrible situational football coach. Yeah. Well, you know what I'm worried about, and I've been thinking about over the last couple of weeks? What if he knew he was a dead man walking? Like, what if they had I had heard indications that they had made the decision like 2 or 3 weeks before the end of the season, and that they were just waiting for that last game. What if he knew that? And heading into that last game, why wouldn't
the whole Gatorade bat the first game?
Why wouldn't he do everything in his power to win that game? Fuck the team. I'm going to win this game.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, but I mean, we started our third string quarterback, so you can't really argue that. Our third string is better than our. I don't know, man.
Well, Drake May did start, didn't he?
He did. He did. He only played one series.
And then they brought in the third stringer. So I would argue that his intent wasn't to win the game, but if they won the game.
This is a really good segue. You talked about the Patriots spending up to to talk about free agency. I have a proposition. What if we did one at a time, like a snake draft of sorts, where I get my list of 3 free agents I want to sign? Chet, you seem to imply you did. Nate, I assume you come prepared as always. You guys want to do this as a snake draft? Like we'll go through and each pick the free agent we think that we want the most, and then we'll circle back through until we each have 3. And then vote on whose 3 free agents are the better fit for the Patriots.
I don't hate it.
Yeah, we can do that. Yeah.
All right. I'll give up first pick. You are welcome to take that first pick.
Okay.
I'm actually not prepared for this, so I'm pulling up the top free agents. My philosophy is I want, as much as possible, the Patriots to focus all of that money on offensive and defensive line.
I'll go first. I'm ready. I'm ready for this debate. I'm
excited.
I'm very excited for it. My first pick in the draft would be a gentleman by the name of Ronnie Staley. He's the top tackle in the draft. He comes off the Ravens. He's 31 years old. Only gave up 1 sack, 4 hits all year. He's far and away the best tackle and I think he's not only is he above average, I think he's capacity to be a superstar tackle. That's my first pick in the draft. A starting left tackle by the name of Ronnie Staley.
Derrick Henry.
He's not a free agent, buddy.
Shit.
I came prepared. I did not come prepared, but I know that. Yeah.
God damn it.
Who's your next one?
Did you just pick your next players?
Well, you said you said you said
fantasy.
you said fantasy draft, Wally, and you confused them.
I thought you understood what I was saying by that. It's a fantasy style draft of free agents.
My fault.
So
That's all right.
who did you have for your free agent? Your top 3 free agents, Chet? Did you have anybody?
Oh, for the Patriots?
Yeah.
Who you want the Patriots to sign?
T. Higgins.
T. Higgins, that's it, right? That was that's he's the
That's
best
easy.
free agent. Don't get me wrong. I think T. Higgins is the best free agent. I just don't think I worry about our ability to sign free wide receivers.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm not. He is a proven commodity.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want us to spend $100 million on a wide receiver when we need to invest $100 million in 3 players on the offensive line.
Yeah.
Before we get to that point. So, and when I say 100, I mean 100 divided by 3, not like 300, not like 300.
Oh, God. I don't care. A left guard.
You're not wrong with T. Higgins, and I think there's a lot of people that know a lot about football that are predicting him to come to the Patriots. I mean, we were all in on Calvin Ridley last year by every measure, right? Like,
Yeah.
But by everything I read, suggested we were throwing a larger amount of money. So there's nothing to suggest that we wouldn't throw a ton of money at T. Higgins. He's the top free agent. Not only is the top wide receiver, I think there's a pretty good compelling argument to make that he's the best player in free agency this year. And as such, as the team with the most money, don't you think we'll pursue him? I do. I agree with Nate though. He wouldn't be my top prospect. He wouldn't be my top option.
What's yours?
I told you it's going to be Ronnie Staley. But
I like Ronnie Staley. I'm concerned with his age, though.
Tackles aren't any cheaper than wide receivers. I mean, you're paying just as much, aren't you? What's the average salary on this?
I don't know. So yeah, I was going to get to that, but so I like where you're at with Ronnie Staley. I want to double up. Also, I want both the top 2 tackles, which is Cam Robinson, who currently plays for the Minnesota Vikings, and then Ronnie Staley. And they're both, one's 1 year younger, but we give them both 3, 4, or 5 year deals. Like, both tackles are set. We can draft. Again. Looking forward to the draft.
Is that your pick?
Yes,
what's your
camera.
Well, your
no,
Cam Robinson?
I like Staley. But I also like
you have the next 2 picks, by the way. So I took Staley first. Chet took Higgins.
Then I would go.
Next 2 picks.
Yeah, I would go Cam Robinson, who's the other offensive tackle. And again, looking at the age, Cam Robinson's 29, Staley's 30. They're both probably price point is the same. But then I would also go. Since I have the next 2, I would go with Cam Robinson, and then I would take the safety from the 49ers. Hafunga is his name, but he's, he was like a 4th or 5th round draft pick, and he's young, 25. We need somebody like that on the defensive side. But I also wouldn't be upset if I picked, again, a D end or a linebacker, but there really isn't one in the age category that I'm looking at. I don't want somebody that's only got 2 to 3 years left. I'd love to see a Joey Bosa, for crying out loud, be available somehow. And there's speculation that due to his contract he might be released, or if that happens, of course he's more than likely somebody's going to pick him up, but either way, or they'll let him go as a free agent, let him go where he wants to. But so again, I got the safety from the 49ers and Cam Robinson.
Okay, I like both those players. I'm surprised you take that safety over Holland from the Dolphins. I think Holland's a better safety.
I isn't Holland. What's his age? How old is
Holland, I
he?
don't know.
And if
But
we're
let's find
talking
out.
about also Chet wide receivers, I don't disagree with Higgins, but he comes at the highest price point. You know
Don't
who
tell Chet.
else?
I don't say it yet. My pick's still coming, man. My
All
pick's still
right,
coming.
all right. I know who you're picking then.
Chet, you're up. What's your next pick?
Um, I don't care, but a left tackle.
A left
That's what
tackle.
we need.
All right. So the other tackle that I see available is, well, I won't go with. There is Tyrone Smith with the Jets, but he's super old for a tackle, so we're not going to go there.
I think
think
Nate
you
and I
should-
took the top two tackles.
Well, there's one more from the Broncos. I think is
No Jack. No Jack.
Bowles, Garrett Bowles. He's 33 years old.
All right, Jack Balls. Let's go.
All right, so now I have two picks, correct?
Yeah.
Oh boy.
Buda Baker. Buda Baker. Is that who you're?
No, my next pick is almost certainly going to be Chris Godwin. I think Chris Godwin's going to have a huge year. I'm a big Chris Godwin fan. I know he's injury prone, but I like him. He performs at a high level year after year after year. I think that he's another one of those guys that if we compare he's not that old. Like I think he's 26, 27 maybe.
No, he's. Hold on. Go ahead. Keep going.
No, I'm going to pull it. I'm looking at it too. He's
I think he's 29. 29.
29.
Confirmed. And he didn't just have he had a serious, significant injury. So the reason why I like him is because I can probably drop the price point, especially in the first few years, on a contract with him because he's coming off of a huge injury, and then backload the back end of the contract as long as he's performing.
Yeah. So I still pick Chris Godwin. I think that he'd be a good fit for this team.
Yeah.
I like what he's done. I think with a late second round pick, I'm happy with that. My next pick, and I think that is Trey Smith. He's a guard for the Kansas City Chiefs. He's one of the top guards in the NFL. He is. I've got notes on him right here. He's a top guard on the market. He's only 25 years old. He did not allow a single sack this year. I think he got 4 quarterback hits. He is far and away the best offensive lineman on the free market, on the free agency this year. His name's Trey Smith. He's a guard. With Ronnie Staley in the first, him in the third, Chris Godwin. I feel like I'm checking off boxes. I would be ecstatic if we could sign those. If we could sign those 3 free agents, I would be ecstatic, and we have the money to do it.
Yeah. No, I mean,
Well,
you're right.
you just killed it right now. Right now. That's what I want.
I want to show you my notes, by the way. My notes, those are the 3 guys I wanted to take. Like, if we had just done this as us talking about 3 players, those were the 3 players I had taken notes on that I wanted to take.
Well, I mean, they technically, if I'm the GM, they meet my age requirement, and their salary's negotiable, meaning they're young enough where I can get more years, and then the contract looks bigger, right? But at the end, probably the last 3 years, it's like that's probably average money at the position.
Yeah, because the cap balloons. Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, and again, I don't not like Holland, but because he is technically the top safety, like we still need. I'm not trying to be conservative, but I'm good with signing like Chris Godwin because he's a second wide receiver, and then also the other guy because he's a second safety, and then we get the top of the tackle and the guard if we can do that, and even potentially moving a guard to tackle that already has those skills, so like that.
The shitty part is we're probably not going to get any of these fucking guys we're talking about. We've talked about this in the past too. We're not going to get a single goddamn one of them.
Well, the problem is like, it doesn't, number one, we don't know if they're restricted or unrestricted. So, but also if we think that they don't currently hold value with their current team, like, I mean, I'm not saying they're loyal, but we definitely have to outbid their current team if you look at it that way. Like we
Yeah.
need to we need
Yeah,
to
we have
offer
to
them
have,
more because it's
yeah.
not a we're not offering them a better situation. We're offering them potentially a change of situation and some future success, but like
Patrick Mahomes starting left guard's not coming to the Patriots for football reasons, right?
yeah,
Like
no, I mean,
he's gonna stick with the team he's won 3 championships on.
yeah, I mean, but money talks too. So if
Yeah.
if Kansas City doesn't do their due diligence and he's lowballed, like, but they can only pay so many people, and like, well, Patrick Mahomes right now, he's probably I'd have to look up his salary, but he's probably not in the top 10. Like, I think I saw a list earlier of like the top 8 highest paid quarterbacks, and only one of them had been to the Super Bowl, which was Jared Goff, and the other 8 were just Trevor Lawrence was one of them up near the top and hasn't done anything. But it's just, yeah. Of course, I hope Patrick Mahomes is saying, "Hey, man, I'll take another pay cut, and I'll get you another couple million. What's your price point, right? Like, and then he can take that to management and be like, what do I need to do? Because he's smart enough, and he's kind of pulled the whole Tom Brady thing where he's restructuring his contract, as in give me my paycheck in a signing bonus, and then that comes off and doesn't count towards the salary. So.
Chet, who's up next in the draft? Chet's up next. Chet, can I offer you a suggestion here?
Fuck yeah.
You got a top-notch wide receiver. You got the next best left tackle, I think, was your second pick. I think that you know who I really like that I think could come into a team like the Patriots and be a disruptive force for 2 or 3 years is Khalil Mack.
Oh, I would love Khalil Mack. I would love that.
I got him as probably the third or fourth best player. He's older, right? So this is the thing. Like, you're not signing a 25-year-old. I think he's 31 or 32, but he's still really fucking good.
He is, yeah. Let me see.
So but I hear
Nate, who do you have so far?
Nate,
I have a tackle,
tackle
and a safety. What? What's up?
You think it's Stephon Diggs? Who are you thinking? I think you got to go offense now, Nate. You got to go like a skill position.
No, I'm getting that in the draft. No, I do need a wide receiver, but I don't like any of them, honestly, and I'm not going to reach. Man, here's what I'm going to target. I think Deebo Samuel's probably going to be released, or something's going to happen with his contract with the 49ers. So I'm going to hopefully target him if he's released or hits the waiver wire, because we can technically afford that contract. And I like his versatility. I don't like his durability, but we don't need to use him in the same way like San Francisco seemed to use him as like a hammer hitting nails, and we don't need to necessarily do that. We can figure out a way to keep him a bit more on the field longer. I don't want Stephon Diggs. He's a prima donna. I don't think. Yeah. I honestly.
Everyone else is old. Then you're looking at like Keenan Allen and DeAndre Hopkins, 33, both of them.
Oh.
Amari Cooper's 31. Stephon Diggs is 32. Like, I don't want to go anywhere near Deontay Johnson. Don't touch him with a 15-foot pole.
Yeah. Yeah. I would admit a stopgap for guard. I love Zach Martin. And even though he's old, again, he's like Tyrone Smith, who's a free agent as well, but he's a proven commodity. If we can get a couple years out of him, sign a 3-year contract, maybe he's he doesn't outlive the contract, but he outperforms it. That would probably be my next pick because I'm not since obviously I don't like the wide receivers that are left. So Amari Cooper's out there, but if the price point isn't right, I'm not reaching on him.
I know you don't want to make this competition, but I think I crushed you guys. I'm sorry.
You did have the first pick, so ironically, I'm not sure how that worked out. But.
I offered it up to both of you, and neither one of you were ready. Like I willingly was offering up the first pick.
Yeah, no, you're right.
Gracias.
But yeah, I am excited for what's to come for the Patriots. There's no doubt about it.
Me too.
They're trending up. I like what Vrabel has to say. I kind of wish he'd come out and say I'm nobody's savior. I'm going to come in here and work hard. He essentially has said that. He just hasn't said it out loud that he's nobody's savior, and he's not coming in to save the franchise. He's coming in here to do hard work and develop football players. What the outcome of that is, we'll see at the end of next season and the following season and the following.
Chet, you look like you were losing you, buddy. Hey, so are you getting tired?
Are you getting tired? Yeah. Well, I do want to ask a question. I had it pulled up. Oh, what did Sushi A say to Sushi B?
I don't know.
Wasabi.
All
right. That's the dad joke of the week. There's some I really want to talk about Cooper Flag, but that's probably a game you should be down in BC going to see tomorrow, man.
Yeah, if I didn't have 7 children's events to chase my kids to tomorrow, I would agree. I would love nothing more than to see Cooper Flag. I'd love to talk about Cooper Flag. I've been talking about Cooper Flag for years now. I love that. I love. He's going to be good. He is going to be so good.
I hope so. I mean, he did score 44 in a game, which is an ACC rookie record, freshman record. But if you look at everybody else that he outscored on that list, they didn't amount to much. I'll be honest with you. So I hope he doesn't follow them in that aspect. But
why even got to go down that route?
Well, I'm just saying, setting records doesn't mean anything, especially in college. I mean, even being the player of the year, like you can probably name last year's player of the year, but that's only because it's current event, right? Everybody else, that's the Naismith player of the year. Like I remember Glenn.
His game though, his game translates in the NBA. He's a defensive-minded, physically imposing player. He goes to the hole hard. Like his game translates. He shoots a 3 well. His game translates to the NBA.
Yes, he's very versatile. Very much like Jason Tatum at his age, but at this point,
probably more dominant.
At this point and at his age, he is better, but it'll translate to the same amount, hopefully. But yeah, well, all right. Thanks for coming on, guys. Love y'all. Smash the like button. We'll talk to y'all next episode. We'll talk in between there though. So, all right. Love y'all.
Talk to you soon.
Later.